SMB 39. How's everyone doing this morning? Have you had enough coffee? Is the question. Social media breakfast has been going on for just over three years. How many of you have been to a social media breakfast before? Awesome. We do have some new people in the group, so welcome. I remember my first social media breakfast I went to was at Melrose, and Michelle Bird was actually the speaker at that breakfast, probably 2.5 years ago, and it was awesome. Anyways, on with the show. Chaos Consulting, owned and operated by Donna McAtee, is a main reason that we're here today. She basically runs the whole show with the help of a few of us on her committee. Donna's back there in the pink, and she does an excellent job. So these are a list of our past sponsors. So every social media breakfast is sponsored by someone. Today it's Elevated HR and Boys and Girls Club of Calgary. But here are a few of our past sponsors, and if you're interested in being a sponsor in the future, please contact Donna, myself, or anyone else on the committee. And here are some of our ongoing sponsors. So MarketWire and Matrix. MarketWire does our press releases, so if you're not on the list to get a press release, it comes out about a week before the event, and it just tells you where the event's being held this month and how what you need to do in order to register. Matrix provides us with our camera and all of the equipment needed in order to make sure that we can video each event and make sure it gets online for you guys to view. Genome Alberta is working on our website, which we hope to have available for the next SMB next month. It will be up for next month. And Calgary video creator Aaron Travis is the guy behind the camera back there, videoing it, and we'll also have a YouTube channel available, uploading all past SMBs as well. So just to introduce our committee, Donna, I've already introduced back there in the pink. Catherine is up here in the blue. Mike Spear is not here today. I'm Des, advisor Des. Kevin Hayes is unavailable. We're unable to make it today. KevinHayes.ca. Heather Ilsley is also up right beside Catherine. Crystal is over here. I won't even try to say her last name because I will butcher it. And Kayla was unable to make it today as well, but she's also behind the camera when Travis visits. So if you don't already follow us, how many of you are on Twitter? Everyone? How many of you are not on Twitter? It's okay. Yeah, you can admit it. Our symbol is at SMByyc, and our hashtag is SMByyc, so you can hashtag that today for anything that comes up throughout the presentation that you think is interesting, and it just creates a wealth of information all in one place, easy to search and easy to find. So our venue sponsor today is the Boys and Girls Club of Calgary, so let's give them a huge hand today. And the two reps that we have are Bridget and Caroline, and they're going to come up here and show us a video and talk a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you all for coming to Boys and Girls Clubs of Calgary. We'd like to welcome you. We are big fans of Social Media Breakfast. We are big fans of the opportunity to have you here today, but also the opportunity that Social Media Breakfast provides to all of us to network, to find out more about each other, to find out more about social media, and how we can together make Calgary a better place to be. Boys and Girls Clubs of Calgary have been in our community for the past 75 years. You probably know us for our clubs. We have 7 community clubs throughout the city. We're also a lot more than that. Clubs are our cornerstone. We have, as I said, 26 locations across the city that involve a number of different kinds of programs that you might not know about. I invite you to take a look at the brochures on your table. There's more information there and on our website. and I'm just going to give you some quick highlights. The space that you're in today is called the Hangar. The Hangar is a historical site. You can find out more about it in the foyer there. There's a picture. It was the original airport in Calgary and was also a training ground for the Air Force during the war. So we are fortunate enough to be located at our admin offices, and an after-school program take place in this facility, as well as numerous other programs. Throughout the city, we also offer programs in family support. We have foster care, group homes, we have education and employment programs, and youth housing and shelter. In fact, Boys and Girls Clubs of Calgary operates one of the biggest youth homeless shelters in the city. We also hope that you'll take opportunity to think about how you might engage with Boys and Girls Clubs of Calgary as a volunteer or a foster parent or a donor. There's lots that you can do and that you might not think about, skills that you can share and ways that you can help make a difference in the life of a child. So we also ask you to take a good look at those opportunities and think about how you might help kids so that you can support our mission, which is to make sure that kids grow up to be self-sufficient adults. I also just want to take an opportunity to thank Donna McTaggart as well for all of her support and for believing in our opportunity to host this event today. We hope that you enjoy your time here. I'm going to pass things off now to Bridget. We are going to get the party started.
Good morning, everyone. As Carolyn said, my name is Bridget, and I am heading up the communications for one of our upcoming events this year. It's our second year, and it's called the Capital One Race for Kids. And so with our second year, some of you, has anybody heard of it? Yeah, one guy. He's whoops. Awesome. So this is the second year, as I said, and this year we're hoping to double our registration and our fundraising goal. And all the money that we raise goes to supporting children and youth in Calgary through the programs that we have, as Carolyn mentioned. So what is Race for Kids? It's kind of like Amazing Race and Minute to Win It all in one. It's for adults, and it's an opportunity for all of you to go back to your childhood and have fun. So you can change lives while having fun. And we'll show you a little video here.
Critics are calling it the best adventure of all time.
So that's a little preview of Race for Kids. How many people want to sign up? I didn't see everybody's hands go up. So now I'm going to have to engage you in a little game. so that you can see what it's like to be in it, because it really is fun. I know it's hard as adults, we have bills to pay, it's hard to go back to our childhood roots and pretend and have all that fun. So, in front of you, in the center of your table, is a little mystery bag. Before you open it, I'm going to tell you how this game goes. So, inside the bag, each one of you can pick up an envelope. Inside the envelope are some noodles. So there are 6 round noodles like this. You can set them up in front of you. Without using your hands, you have to put the 6 round noodles on your fettuccine noodle. Now, when I say go, or you can pass them out now, okay. So, when I say go, you have 60 seconds to get those on there. If you complete the task before 60 seconds, stand up with your proving that you have done it, so don't drop it. Stand up, and we have prizes for the first 4 people who complete this task. And if nobody completes it in 60 seconds, which I'm sure you will, but if nobody completes it, the person with the most round noodles on their fettuccine stick will win. All right? So, on your marks, get set, noodle! It's not as easy as it looks. Woo! We got a 1 winner! 3 more, folks. Keep going, keep going. We got another one.
With your mouth. With your mouth. With your mouth. Oh.
There's another one at the back. And another one. We have our 4 winners, folks. So, just to wrap up here about Race for Kids, we've tweeted the video that you saw and the page where you can register. We also need volunteers, and we also need sponsors to kind of run these checkpoints. So it's a team of 4 that races around a course, and you have to complete clues in order to advance. And it's only $10 per person to register, and then as a team of 4 to raise a minimum of $360, and which works out to about $90 a person. It's pretty doable. And the top fundraiser, so it's beneficial, gets 2 tickets to anywhere WestJet flies. So it's a really great that way, and we'd like to say thank you to our media sponsor, who's here today, the Calgary Herald. Thank you, Sean. And so that's it. So hopefully you had fun, and hopefully we'll see you at the race on June 1st.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Next, I'll invite up Michelle Berg to talk a little bit about Elevated HR. They are our breakfast sponsor today, and we're more than happy that they were able and willing to do that. And Michelle's a longtime supporter of social media breakfast.
Well, I have to say that it's definitely great to be back. It's been a while. I think you're right, Des. It was 2.5 years since the last time I spoke. And then the last time we sponsored, I was somewhere but not here. So I'd like to first of all give thank you to Leah Andrikovich, who's here from Elevated HR as well. She's helped us to get the coffee this morning, which all of the coffee drinkers I'm sure are very happy about. So yay, Leah. Elevated HR's main goal is to make HR not suck. That is what we try to do. We don't always succeed, but that is our ultimate goal within small and medium-sized businesses. Our core belief is that leaders and managers are the reasons why people stay in organizations, not great HR programs. So one of the things that we've actually done this is our second year, we're launching a contest called Top Manager. So for those of you who already are in our video this morning, thank you. We've been asking all of you, what makes a great top manager? Confession time, I am not a great manager. I know how hard it is to be a great manager. So, Jackie, who's going to be speaking, last year was actually nominated, and I think you were top 5, I think, managers nominated. So anything, Erin, did you nominate her by chance last year? Did you nominate Jackie?
As you can tell, it's anonymous.
It's Erin. I'm allowed to pick on you. At any rate, Jackie had some great insights last year to share on what actually constitutes a great manager, and we're hosting the contest again this year. So we are really hoping that all of you, if you know a great top manager, please, please, please nominate them. I think a lot of the time these managers get lost in the limelight, and it's their time to shine, and that's what this program is all about. So cool thing about this is we Elevated will actually donate $1,500 to the top manager that wins. We'll donate $1,500 to a charity of their choice. And on top of that, there's a Dale Carnegie course worth about $1,800 that the top manager will win. We've got some fabulous judges on board with us this year. So all you have to do is go to Elevated HR, Top Manager, I think it's up there. There's a form to fill out, super simple, and we take care of the rest. So with no further ado, I'm sure you're going to introduce them, but I'm super excited to hear both the speakers today from the Calgary Chamber. I've loved the Calgary Chamber and what they can do for this business community. They're doing this massive, great brand refresh that I've watched and see transform throughout the community, so I'm excited to hear their story. So thanks for coming, and thanks for having us.
Thanks, Michelle. So a big thanks again to Waves Coffee, that's who donated or gave us a discount on coffee this morning, and Michelle so kindly picked it up even though she couldn't carry it in from the parking lot. Thank you for that. So before we get to the speakers, let's all take a second to tweet this. Thank you to Boys and Girls Club of Calgary, Elevated HR, and Donna McTaggart for hosting and feeding us at SMB this morning. And without further ado, I'll introduce Jackie and Erin. Michelle pretty much summed everything up. The only thing that I can pick out here was that under Erin's profile it says medical marijuana, and I want to know more. But I'll let them talk about that. So without further ado, here is Jackie and Erin.
Morning everyone, just while they're getting that sorted. They're just going to get that up there. Thank you so much. First of all, I'm Australian, sometimes I'll talk quickly. If you need a translator, that's also Aaron. So let me know if you can't understand anything that we get to. Thank you very much to Elevated HR, to SMByyc for hosting us here today, and to the Boys and Girls Club. That's very generous, thank you. So like I said, I'm Australian. I've lived in Australia, New Zealand, the UK and now Canada. My background's in luxury hotels, and for whatever reason I decided that I wanted to work for not-for-profit. We're still considering that was a good choice, but here we are. Aaron is Dutch, and he's awesome. He told me to tell you that. He'll tell you the rest of his story when he gets up here. What we're going to touch on today is a little bit of where we've come from as the Calgary Chamber, what we're trying to do to be a little bit more social, and that's what Aaron's role is with us. And also some really epic fails that have taught us amazing lessons that we've had to sort of learn and pay attention to as we go through the journey of understanding what it is when you're doing it business to business. It's not as easy, and it's not sexy. So first of all, I want to give you a bit of a landscape of what the Chamber is about so that you can put it into perspective for those who are not aware of it. We are one of Calgary's longest running business organisations. We've been around for about 120 years. We're a business-based organisation, so we operate in the business-to-business sphere. Not for profit, like I mentioned, and we've also helped start other organisations in the city, such as Calgary Economic Development, Innovate Calgary, and the Calgary Foundation. They all came out of the Calgary Chamber many, many years ago as our city grew and the population increased, so there was this need for that infrastructure to support different endeavours within the city. We have a full-time staff of around 22. Big departments that we have is in that policy and government affairs. So they're the guys that look after the policy development, lobby governments to make it easier to do business in our city. That's what their role is to do. We also then have a member experience team, and that's looking after our members, making sure that we surprise and delight them, that we're servicing members, that we're retaining members, that we're hosting events that support their business success. In late 2010, early 2011, we had a business model that was built on everything but our members. We were operating a building, a function centre, we had a restaurant. There was really no distinct value proposition to what we had, and we based our membership fees on the number of employees that an organisation had. So if you had 5 employees or 50 employees, you paid a different fee, but you didn't really get any different benefits. So that's how that landscape was built. What we found from some research and some focus groups was that we were considered old and stodgy, white and male. We were hard to move and resisted to change. As a result of all those, we were really just considered irrelevant. We were losing membership. It was a struggle to get in front of a business audience to put out what we had. There was a really big feeling in the community, and certainly with the board of directors, that the Chamber had lost its way in terms of providing value to members, and that this value proposition really needed a good hard look. Essentially, we just had our head in the sand. So what we did through 2011 was we reached out to members and non-members, lapsed members, big corporates, small businesses, everything like that, to really understand what it is that they were looking for from a business organisation. We hired a new CEO in late 2010. He came in about a month before Menachie was elected, and there was this certain wave of generational change that was happening within the city as a result of sort of those 2 appointments. Adam is about 36. He's probably 37 now. He's very young, very dynamic, has great credence within the community, and so it was a really big appointment, and it really shook the image that we had of the Chamber by putting someone who was young and dynamic up in front of a crowd. Really, what 2011 was defining who we were, who we served, and what we did. It became all-consuming. So we emerged in 2012. We really defined our purpose strongly to make our members' businesses more successful. That's what we're about. It's no harder than that. We're here to help businesses be successful. We cemented our positioning. We're in the business of connecting to solve business challenges. It doesn't matter if you're the Boys and Girls Clubs, you're still going to have business challenges in operating what you do. Or if you're the CEO of Suncorp, you're still going to have those challenges. And we're here to help do that. We crafted a new identity, and this is what you'll see here and throughout some of the presentation. We launched assets to support the message in the marketplace. A big piece of that was our website. And that's when we sort of made sure that we had the right infrastructure to support that direction and get that message out there. We also made some really big decisions in 2012 about our business and our business model. We sold the heritage building that we'd been in for almost 30 years. We closed our restaurant and our function rooms. We said this is not what we're in the business of doing. Operating a heritage building was distracting from what we should be doing, that's looking after our members. Having said all that, at the end of the day, if we can do all that we want to position our brand, but as Aaron's going to go on and explain, it's our customers that really define it. And we're still working on that. That's a journey that's not finished. A big part of what we did after understanding who we were and what we were about was actually then just getting in the race. And that's finding the right people and putting them in the right roles. I was very lucky to have this opportunity, but the people that came onto the team to make it happen are awesome. We certainly couldn't do it without those people that every day come in and excel at what they do. We looked for a real skill set that was going to support what we needed to do. And media, social media, and that digital space was an area we knew we had a gap. So we made a decision to say, we're going to put a dedicated position in to look at that. Our community, working with our members, making sure that our digital and online presence is supporting everything that we're doing in a physical environment, but all those touch points needed to align to get it right. We also made a big decision about our culture, and it's a very difficult transition for anyone who's gone through it if you've got a culture that's been embedded for a long time and you're trying to change it. It's almost like, this is the bus, this is the direction it's going, get on it or get off it, because you can't afford the time to not have the right people in the right places. And so that was a big part of what we did, making sure we had the right people that made that direction and sort of gave us those small wins that you need every time to move forward with it. So that's my part of what's sort of setting the stage. I'm delighted that Aaron has accepted the invitation to join us upstage. He'll tell you how he accepted the invitation, I'm sure. But he's going to go on and explain much, much more around what our social media is. We're both available for questions, so look forward to hearing from you.
This thing seems pretty sensitive. You guys can all hear me? Solid? Yeah? Good. Right now, shall I advance the slide? Alright, so quick disclaimer, I am not Gary Vee. Some of you may know Gary Vee. Pay lots of money to go see Gary Vee. That is not me. But we're going to try and channel him. And much like Des, I have to say, Michelle Berg, she was my first too. It was my first social media breakfast. It was a good galvanizing talk and made me a big fan afterwards. So hopefully we can channel her a little bit. Big thanks to Elevated HR, of course, Boys and Girls Club, the whole social media breakfast committee, and Jackie for saying yes and then calling me into her office to volunteer me that I was doing this portion. So I apologize. It is 9:30 and we'll try and get through these points in good time. Many of you may already know me from the Twitter sphere. We've actually had a real beer or two, which is great. So given that, I hope I can count on all of you for some really frank feedback, whether it's online or in person. But this doesn't need to be a rah-rah about how awesome we know it will be. And most of all, want your to be a part of the conversation at the end of this, right? Like, we're not the experts in this space. Social media breakfasts are about all of us getting better at what we do. We only do that with criticism and different points of view and different experiences. So I can only speak from mine. Let's be honest, this is Social Media Breakfast 39, right? This is 3 years going on. The space has matured a lot, right? The internet is out there. If you really had, absolute courage to learn about B2B social media, you go to the internet and search that. You get your top 10 lists, and I don't think that necessarily helps you really figure out what you need to do, or have those good examples that stick in your head when you think you have a good idea and you can hear firsthand that it might not be. So again, I hope you find a little bit of value morsels I will attempt to dispense. Yeah, speaking as a past attendee or presenter, hopefully you have time for questions and you can ask them. So the reality is, I'm just a real boy. And I saw this great tweet the other day. I follow a lot of tech startup stuff and love, the thinking that no one's really qualified to do this per se, right? Hopefully everyone stopped calling themselves an expert and not going down that road anymore, right? The landscape just changes so fast. Like, fine, be a senior social media consultant after 2 years if you need to be. But certainly none of us are experts, except Tony Johansson. He's an expert. Everyone knows Tony. A bit of I think maybe the antichrist when it comes to the social media stuff. I don't do a lot of like, hey, let's nail out some solid content plan or like some long-term social media strategy. Mostly because I don't have a lot of time to do that. Because my time is restricted, part of what I want to share with you, I think all our time is restricted, is how to leverage that limited amount of time in the best way possible. Leverage the resources at your disposal. And so going back to what Jackie was talking about in terms of our brand and the reinvention and the focus on our members and not only solving their business challenges, but essentially looking to make them more successful. That's what I've taken and tried to adapt to our social media platform. So with the Calgary Chamber, I'm really looking to try and be the pulse of business in Calgary. And for all of you, I think the key here is how many of you know off the top of your head what your organization's mission and vision is? What your values and goals are? Yeah, that's awesome. And how many of you are keeping that in the back of your head every time you go to your social media account and think, this is what I'm putting out, is this supporting that goal, right? In adapting it to the Calgary Chamber, it's about trying to provide useful resources to the business community, make them aware of the events and services we offer, and ultimately provide exposure to our members in the hopes that allows them to be more successful. Or, if need be, go out to social media audience and attempt to solve those problems. Don't get me wrong, our membership is far from like crazily engaged about asking me all their questions on Twitter, but that's the goal, right? Visions are meant to be lofty, so that's where we want to head. So that'd be my pro tip here, right? Is keeping that stuff in mind when you go out there, right? It may seem like a good idea, but you have to remember that you are a person working for a business, right? When we're talking about the B2B space, this isn't like, oh man, this is like such a funny lolcat, let's check this out, right? You're a business and you have a goal, and your role as a community manager in that organization is to attempt to fulfill that goal. And depending on what organization you are, I don't think lolcats have a big place in there. So what we want to talk about is kind of the art of being social when you're not terribly sexy. A la Perez Hilton here. Apparently he had a wicked transformation though. I was totally unaware. Saw some little image search, he's like nip tucked. He's a little sexier now, I guess. We used to be terribly unsexy. The Chamber used to be terribly unsexy. And we really had to reinvent that, not just in social media, but in general. We were a huge ask organization, right? And stealing from Gary V. Crib notes here, it's got to be more give, ask, right? And he would add like 7 more gives to that, we're limited time. So B2B, I think inherently is going to be a little unsexy, right? Like here's another thing for you to think about. How many of you follow B2B accounts? True B2B accounts, right? Like several of them, right? Like when you think about it, tourism, okay, there's the business angles of that, but really, it's going after the consumer. All the magazines you follow, all the entertainment you follow, that's all hedged towards you as a consumer. Like, how many people are really jazzed to follow Suncor or something, on Twitter, and we'll get to Nexon for the sake of that. But that's okay, because in B2B, you're never going to be super sexy. You can just try and be moderately attractive. You're not going to get the cheerleader, but that's okay. You just need best friends that are going to listen to you. Because that's all you really want on social media, is people to listen to you. So 100,000 best friends, and you got to make it. So the interesting part with the Chamber is that as much as there's something inherently unsexy about it, it is an institution. And people sometimes, for no reason, are attracted to it. In terms of trying to make best friends, you want to reach out, right, and engage those people and figure out what it is they're finding moderately sexy about you. So let's just right. Sorry. And in terms of B2B social media, it's not like you take one business corporate handle and it follows another business corporate handle, and all of a sudden you guys are talking business, right? That's clearly not what we're discussing here. At the end of the day, we're still after people following your corporate handle. Hopefully those people are the decision makers, right? And you may follow even some of the senior staff of those organizations, which we'll get in later in terms of educating your C-suite and your leveraging them. But let's just start with why we're doing this, why we need to do this, right? You're a business, and you need to sell to other businesses. Businesses, some come on board and they feel, okay, it's a cool space, let's get in it, let's do something. Are we going to, the key way up to me there is they're going to be talking about you, right? And what you really want is you want them talking to you. When I first started at Calgary Chamber, if people were talking about the Calgary Chamber, full text, Calgary Chamber of Commerce, like that made me wince, first of all, because that's a lot of characters in a tweet. Like that hurts. But also because we would host things like Demo Kit, right? A very tech-savvy audience. People couldn't even be asked to see if we had a Twitter account, right? I'd have to, reach out to them and say, hey, by the way, we're over here with Calgary Chamber. You can find us, we're on Twitter. So the cool part now is a year later, that's virtually non-existent. People don't write Calgary Chamber of Commerce full text or whatever. We feel like, the handle's gotten out there, our presence has gotten out there, and that's cool because then you get sweet notifications when people use your handle, right? You don't have to have your little cool sweet deck and be like, okay, are they spelling your name right? What are they using? Which you should always be doing, by the way, of course, to find your organization and to find the people that don't know about you yet. Obviously, they're very easy to convert from talking about you. They just didn't get the memo that you're already on it. But notifications are awesome, right? Especially when we're talking about leveraging resources. You don't have to be on it all the time. You get your name out there, you exist, people hopefully will take the effort to find you, and when they do and talk about you, you get a little notification. Instead of spending your entire day looking for that engagement, someone has reached out to you. It takes 10 seconds to respond to their message, and there you go. Hopefully you've started a conversation. So, long story short, why should we be doing this? A lot of people, when I first came on the scene, marketers thought, well, it's about sales, it's about operations, it's about marketing, it's about communications. And those are all good things, but that's not the why. That's the what, right? What are you going to do with it? The why is first and foremost just credibility, right? If you're not going to take the time to be in this space, it's become so ubiquitous that everyone is in, then why should someone even give you the time of day? You're not forward thinking. You're not even like moderately current thinking. There'd be a long time ago where if you didn't have a phone number, people wouldn't do business with you. If you didn't have a fax number, people wouldn't do business with you. 5 years ago, if you didn't have your cell number on your business card, people would look at you sideways. And today, that's social media. You have to be in that space. If you're not willing to create a few accounts, upload some logos, a little zippy description, then why should I bother talking to you or listen to you or really doing business with you if that's the kind of thinking you're going to show. Just as I'm guessing there's some community managers in here, and I just wanted to give a shout out. There's an awesome blog called 4 Million Followers by Pierce Gleason. That's a super cool account of what it's like to manage a massive B2C account, and just kind of talks about the idiosyncrasies of people talking to corporate brands, which is kind of interesting. So that's the why, right? Credibility. Get your ass out there. And then it's about what do you want to accomplish. And again, this talk of operations and comms and sales and marketing, I think has a much larger place in the B2C community, right? In B2B, the funnel's different, right? Relationships are different. And you need to start thinking about what you're going to use it for and how that equates with your mission and vision. And so I think there's a much larger role in the B2B side of social media for thought leadership, industry news, and hopefully where you haven't thought about is competitive intelligence, right? You want your competitors to be on here because they're going to celebrate what they're doing. You're going to be able to see who they talk to. Why not poach a prospect away from them if you're going to be that engaged? Why not know all their news releases and announcements? Because if they're on top of it, that's the first place they're going to go, right? You're already on your platform. It's a heck of a lot easier to do that than check a bunch of different sites and see if they put up a new news release. Honestly, you see news releases go out via MarketWire, for example, that people don't even have up on the website, on their own website, but they'll be out on social media. So why not take the opportunity to see what your competitors are doing? Right, so let's dive through a few sexy examples, right? We've got Travel Alberta, B2C. We're just going to take a quick look at B2C here. And you know, this is pretty simple. If you're a community manager for Travel Alberta, you better be killing it. You get to post awesome pictures of people like on holidays, enjoying it. You got the Rockies, you're in Alberta. Like, seriously, this is not going to work hard. You know, then you get to Calgary Chamber, doing an excellent job of social media when you are incredibly unsexy, right? They tapped into operations, and that does it for them. I don't think a lot of people are getting up in the morning thinking, I don't know, do I want to spend $3 on my transit ticket or not? Well, they do have pretty good operations. Like people use Calgary Transit, but it makes such an amazing experience, and I think you see how quickly they can resolve it, like WestJet in a very similar fashion. You know, but then we jump to the B2B side, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? Next, locked account. No tweets, no followers, no. Like, wow, do you want to play? And this isn't like I took this 6 months ago, like this is 3 days ago, or something, right? Like, this is what they're doing in today's world, which is just crazy. Like, it's such a wasted opportunity to get their thought leadership out there, right? Some may call it propaganda, that's not what I'm saying here. But it's, you know, put the thought leadership out there, at least have a presence. And as we'll see later, you know, some of the things you can put, it doesn't take a lot of work, especially for an organization as large as they are. You get something like McAtee Stein, like, I really like this account. They tweet some really cool stuff of no relation to who they are as an organization. Like, that's what I'm talking about, where it feels like a person is just operating this account and their name should be first name McAtee, last name Stein. Right? Like, they're putting out stuff they find really interesting. Well, they're like legal and human services and all this sort of stuff. And I want to see something more like, you know, shout out to Elevated HR, doing a bunch of different things, running top manager contests, putting up resources, talking about hiring, negotiating your pay raise. Like, isn't that what an HR company should be tweeting about, right? To show, do they know what they're talking about? Is this the kind of organization I would want to do business with? So it's painful. It's kind of painful out there. To be fair, you know, LinkedIn is a little bit better depending on the organization. So it comes down to then where, and I don't think we have to have too much debate that LinkedIn is a great business platform. But for us, it's really about Twitter, because I think the two key things that I want to discuss around knowing your platform are things you may not normally think about. And one is that you're a person and you're representing a company. And there's that awkward point where how much of yourself do you have to put out to represent your company? And that's why I feel Twitter is the one that I really get. Because Facebook isn't, you know, we're talking about the B2B space, isn't really where your bread and butter is, right? And yet it was where the Chamber had a huge amount of their focus when I came on board a year ago. The thing is, LinkedIn is just so uninspired, right? They're about to cancel our personal account. We have a personal Calgary Chamber account because you want to represent your organization. And when you go into a group discussion, you know, you have to put your face out there. You have to put your name out there. At least Facebook gets it. Use as your organization, right? That's nice. It's not about hiding behind it. It's about, there's a way better connection to your organization. If you see our word mark, Calgary Chamber, then you see my face. Who the hell am I? Right? If anything, I want to swoop it on the side and I want to like the post Calgary Chamber just put up, right? If I'm being honest. And so that's the challenge, is that Twitter's great. You give the keys to whoever you want. Anyone gets to be your organization, easy peasy. And I think LinkedIn can get there. They're definitely doing a better job of getting eyeballs there. It's like they're learning they're becoming a social media platform, but they just haven't gone there yet. They're not giving businesses the tool. They just stole Facebook newsfeed and turned that into a company newsfeed. And so hopefully that'll change in the future. The other thing to consider is what are they doing to your message, right? Facebook over the last few months just seems to be cutting the legs out from underneath. Even if you wanted to do B2B in this space, they want you to pay $10 to promote everything, right? So stuff that used to go to 400 people now goes to 150 people. That's not someone I really want to do business with. Like, it's social media. We're all cheap here. It's free. That's what we want, really. So Twitter is beautiful, right? It's not going to cut anything out of your feed. The challenge, of course, is that your followers might follow 1,000 people, and who knows if they're actually going to listen to your message. So then there's the value, of course, of tweeting things multiple times. And a similar thing with LinkedIn, you're not going to filter your message, but it hasn't become the destination point yet, right? It's not a feed that I'm checking like, oh, what's new in my LinkedIn feed, right? Like, you're like, it tells you if someone viewed your profile, so you go to LinkedIn to see who that was, and then maybe you check out your feed for 5 seconds. So they're working on it, and I think they'll get there. You know, on the plus side of LinkedIn is that what you put out there, because they know people don't come to their site, gets rolled up into a nice email and sent to your inbox, right? It's a little backwards, but it seems like a good stopgap measure for LinkedIn right now. So with all that, you know, which network is best for you? For us, it's Twitter. It's just lightweight. There's just so many opportunities, and you'll see from the examples, you know, that's where I focus my effort because I feel like it's the best. And right now, to be honest, we've dropped the ball on LinkedIn. I think there's a huge opportunity there, but again, limited resources, you focus on good wins. Of course, with different verticals, you may see other benefits in things like Pinterest, or, you know, I'm hesitant to say, but, you know, Vimeo itself, I think, almost has turned in for certain verticals into a social platform as well. So the key here, right, is when you're going to show up, and hopefully right friggin' now, or you're already there. You don't have to be Superman here and save the day, but you got to get there. You got to listen. You got to see who is talking about you. So just show up. Right? That's easy. Everyone gets it at this point. Hopefully everyone knows Bonnie Raitt. Homegirl, Bonnie Raitt, right? So this is how you're going to do it, right? And she would say, you got to give them something to talk about. So, you know, when you grow tired of listening and you want to get in it, which should be like 2 days after you've created your account, then start thinking, what are you going to try to accomplish? What is your mandate? What is your mission, vision? And how are you going to adapt it to social media? And this is where you start looking at things. What's happening in your industry, right? Like what's the haps? What's the industry news? Big trends your clients are talking about. Is there new technology you're doing or that's coming online? You know, what if a prospect was to check you out and see no posts in 237 days? Like, is that the kind of attention you might pay to them as well? You're in the game now, and you're kind of expected to play. So talk about the awesome things you've been doing. Are you out at charity events, right? Is your staff at a great conference? Are you showing that you're developing them? Do you have a good business meeting with a prospect? Why not give them a shout out? Are you moving to a new office? Are you a top employer? Are you recruiting? You know, what awards have you won? This doesn't have to be all original content. You don't need to. This is actually pretty lightweight stuff, like 140 characters, right? If we're talking about Twitter. So you only really have to be hip and genuine and awesome for about 120 of that, because the rest is the link. So if you can't do that, you got to ask yourself how committed you are to comms and marketing and your overall brand. And if it's good stuff, then people share it, and the conversation starts from there. You know, are you signed up for Google Alerts, right? Like, are you tracking yourself? That should tell you. Like, I don't know when our chief economist speaks all the time to the news, and it would be laborious for him to tell me. But the Google Alert will tell me when Ben Vernon is quoted in a story, and I'm going to put that out there to show that we're the go-to source for economic commentary. FP Info might look into that, getting a subscription, right? Again, this isn't just about tracking you. Why not track your competitors as well and see what's going on? Steal their ideas. And then at the end of the day, just commit to blocking out some time, once a week, twice a week, once a month, if that's honestly all you have. And throw some stuff in it. There's so many tools that you can schedule your social media out. And again, a lot of people would say, you know, you got to be cautious about that. But if at the end of the day, it's either not doing it or doing it in a scheduled fashion that may be a little, you know, a little less organic, then, you know, at least start with getting the message out there. Which brings us to your team. Your team is vital, right? This is just a general community manager rant, but like, you can't do it alone, and you shouldn't. As a community manager, you're already expected to know a lot about all the facets of your organization, but you're not the expert on it, right? So when a question comes in, I think it's prudent to know whether you truly can answer that question or not, right? If you work for an engineering firm or what have you, they're probably experts, and you'll know a bit. But if you don't, why not go out to them, right? I'm a runner, and one of the best signs I've ever seen is that pain is temporary, internet results are forever, right? And the same goes for what you're going to put out there, right? Why not take a couple extra minutes to walk across the office or fire an email to your colleague or pick up the phone and get the right answer rather than going out there with the wrong answer. The chamber itself is very politicized, and we'll get different resources, different articles will be floated around, and like all of us know, sometimes a tweet is not an endorsement, but it's still valuable information. We always have to be cautious about what we're putting out there, so I float that past people in my organization that know the political climate better than I do. So understand your limitations, and even though prompt response is good, make sure it's the right one. The other thing about your team is figuring out who else can help you out, who can really take the keys to the car, who do you want to give the keys away to. And so one of my former colleagues, Priyanka, her and I were interchangeable. She live tweeted one of our last events, and one of my best friends in Toronto complimented me on doing a great job, right? So couldn't tell the difference. Jackie, as much as I love her, when she finds something really interesting to put out on Twitter, can stick out like a sore thumb. To me, I don't know if everyone else can, but I know instantly that is not the same tone as Priyanka might take. So I think it's an important consideration to remember, and that's not the end of the world either, right? We did signatures for a while to see how that would go and if there was a need to see the difference, right? Sign AK, sign PK. But I think it gets a little long in the tooth. The important thing is just figuring out who you can trust to understand the same values and what you're bringing to the table and what you're trying to execute on, that they're trying to execute the same thing, right? Or all of a sudden, all that work can quickly go out the window. There's a little bit of it being the brand police online. Right? It's making sure brand isn't just this visual identity that we put out on the new website and that sort of thing. It's a whole lot more than that. And so it's making sure that, like I said, those people also get the brand and get how you treat your members and what you're looking to do. Finally, borrow from your team, right? Like that's where the real leverage comes in. These are all experts there. Our membership team is talking to our members. Do I know more about what's going on with our members than they do? Of course not. I rely on them to say, hey, I just had a great meeting. Did you know that so-and-so has been the top employer for the last 4 years? This award. No, of course I didn't. I don't have time to look at several thousand members. But I'm going to put that out there because our members are going to love it. It's going to get them some traction. And, if you're looking for a job, all of a sudden, bang, a great top employer. It keeps it top of mind. Adam, our president, Adam Legg, does an op-ed for the Calgary Herald every month. Well, I'm going to put that out on the wire. That's just easy content, right, that I don't have to do. Again, I'm the channel, I'm the distribution. We have someone else in policy that does a quick scan of top headlines of the newspaper every morning, sends that out to the staff to stay current. Well, I'm gonna pick from that, right? Schedule it throughout the course of the day or on the weekend or whenever I need to. Events and conferences, there's going to be resources there that again you can just poach and put up. LinkedIn Today. Hopefully everyone's checked out LinkedIn Today. It's actually a really awesome thing LinkedIn has where you can cater what industries you're interested in. And they do a great job of bubbling top content up to the surface if you're looking for that sort of stuff. And then it comes down to you've got all this stuff to talk about, which is great. But if you're this fledgling account and you haven't built up who you are, then people either don't know about you or at this point they don't really care. Especially you have to realize as a community manager, certainly nobody really cares who you are. But Adam Legg, our president, Joe Lougheed, our chair, people care who they are. And so you got to go educate them. You got to educate your C-suite, and you got to get them to amplify your voice, right? Adam, in the last 6 months, it's been amazing how I know it used to be like Saturday morning, all of a sudden Adam would retweet 3 things, right? You're like, oh, Adam's checking into Twitter for this one time this week. But now I'll put something out 15 minutes later, he'll retweet it. That's no prompting, and it's awesome to see how he's seen the benefit of it, and people care who he is, and that's a great way to amplify your voice. So now that you've been borrowing all this stuff from your team, you got to keep them engaged, and you got to get them to understand why they're helping you. got to spur them on, and I think that's by letting them know how they've helped you, right? So celebrate that at a staff meeting, through email, let their manager know, but you know, spell it out, and we'll talk in followers or retweets and our little lexicon here, but that quickly turns into Swahili for a lot of your team members. So just break down the takeaways for them. Make it simple when you talk to them. People really don't like HR content that follows, right? Or nobody's interested in Bitcoins. But keep it simple so that they know what their takeaway is. Organizations like Fast Company and TechCrunch, right? It's crazy. I don't know if you guys are aware, but they get their analytics within a couple hours, and you'll see like if they've posted something 4 times in a day, that's because it's getting ate up really fast. And not all of us necessarily have the resources to do that. But if you put something out that you think is going to bite, if you want to test it, look a couple hours later, and if it did get some traction, put that thing out again. Right? The amount of people that follow 1,000 people, I think I'm at 300 exactly right now, and I try not to ever miss a tweet, and that is an insane amount. That's just on my personal account, right? You get someone that follows 500 accounts, they're not seeing everything. So maybe they're busy in the morning. Why not put it out at night? Put it out on the weekend, right? So again, along with scheduling time, just a little bit of time to schedule all your social media, schedule the time to actually look at your engagement numbers. You can have an ad hoc strategy. That doesn't mean it's spray and pray, right? You can still look to see what is working for your organization. So that brings us to us and what we're trying to do. I'm not just up here spouting with zero experience. We try and execute based on what I've been talking about. This is service content, interaction, profiling our members, promoting our events, live tweeting events. This stuff really isn't rocket science. And I know that's a huge part of what these events can turn out to be, is someone just telling you what you already know. And if that's the case, great. Hopefully bring some stuff more top of mind. But hopefully you come away with some interesting things, because I know I'm very proud that we're now the 3rd most followed chamber in Canada. And we just passed Toronto about a week ago, which was at about 5,950. We've been over 6,000 since the weekend. And when I arrived, I guess 14, 15 months ago, we were at 1,800. Right? So that growth is huge for me. It feels super positive. Montreal Chamber of Commerce is at 7,500, and Greater Vancouver is at about 9,500. And that's the goal, right? To be the most followed, the most engaged chamber in Canada, right? Like there's no reason we can't. I don't think. Twitter penetration is high in Calgary, and that's what we want. That's the goal. And so have lofty goals, and also know what other people are doing in your space, right? This is B2B. There's no reason why you shouldn't know what your competitors are doing in the space. It starts to pay off. You start hearing from your audience. And how great is this, right? Someone tells you on the phone they enjoyed the event, or someone tells you at a meeting they enjoyed the event. Well, you gotta paraphrase, or you gotta call them back and get permission, or see, like this is just beautiful, crystallized testimonials, just waiting to be used, right? Indochino, I don't know if any of you guys know the custom suit maker, but they get tons of testimonials, and they just favorite everything, because Twitter makes it terribly hard to go back more than a week and find out what's been said. But you just favorite that thing, and boom, you've got your list of testimonials all the time. Or even trolls. It's the same guy that was like a douche at the last event? Yeah, that was it. Talked to him, favorited that. We had the Bleecker event. I don't know how many people got out to the Bleecker event. Andrew Bleecker, digital strategist for on the advertising spend side for Obama, oversaw the largest digital advertising spend in politics. And that was a 300-person plus event with just a ton of people loving it, engaged. And we've got to say that's a bit of a different audience than what the chamber normally gets. We don't usually have a bunch of old, bald, white guys tweeting at some of our political events. But that's okay. There's this mix, right? This transition that we're going through. And this is just so great to hear, right? And we have some examples on, can you even read that from where you guys are? Is that all fuzzy? Sorry. We got Kelvin Corp to say, Calgary Chamber feels like a big family. Contact, just had a meeting and said they who are so excited about getting into the business community and what we can do to help them. That's just a whole story of Bleecker and how engaged they were and how much they loved it and what they took away. So, you know, this is what you want. Not only to show your boss social media ROI in one respect, but, you know, I email these things. You know, if it's a policy thing, I email the tweet to the policy team. Right? They need to know. Again, it goes to reporting and feedback. Because most of what you're doing here isn't like you just created some magic out of digital nothingness, right? These are just people expressing offline feelings, emotions, happiness online, right? Like, yes, someone might like an article you put out, but they're probably a lot more enamored with the physical presence they had. And so, you know, let people know that they made a contribution. And then you get to followers, right? So I said 6,000 followers. And yet, like, who are these people? Who follows the Calgary Chamber? Personally, I feel so good when like I said, when I thought, how many B2B accounts do I follow and how few they are? To think that, you know, 6,000 follow us as a B2B account is pretty awesome. And a lot of them are non-members. This isn't like all our members gravitate towards our account. But that's okay, because what's our goal again? The pulse of business of Calgary, to promote our members. Hey, you know, it's a honey trap, to be quite honest. You guys come follow us, give you some cool resources, and at the end of the day, we want you to be our best friends that are listening when I say how awesome our members are, right? That's the reality. That's behind the curtain. And so, you know, brings us back to the brand and how many people are really that passionate about the company they work for, right? Like they're probably pretty passionate about the ultimate frisbee team they play on the weekend. How passionate are they really about the organization? And so it's cool that you get these type of people following the chamber that are apparently passionate enough to be interested. And like I said, going back to that kind of institution piece that the chamber has, a lot of people are just moving to the city, right, and want to know what's going on, and they feel like this is a good way to do it. Without reaching out and talking to them and asking them why they're following you, and you don't have to lead in, right, with that start with a question. This is social media. It's amazing how much you can learn about them. Search their profile. You know, find out a bit about them. Do an icebreaker. But ultimately, learn why they're following you, why they're engaging with you. Because that's, you know, if you want to curry more of those people, then, you know, you got to know why. Bringing it back to business, you know, and relationships and traditional methods still apply, right? You got to build a rapport. Make people look good. Make people look smart. For one, if you are a small organization and you're at an event like this, and the person putting it on has 6,000 followers or 10,000 followers, say something nice about them. They'll probably retweet it to their 10,000 followers, right? Like, get in the game. Can you think of better exposure than that, right? You're already in potentially the same vertical, the same industry, you know, and likewise, if you want to do favors for your small clients or prospects or that sort of thing, and you have a following, then give them a platform, put them out there. You know, and be mindful that the community manager at that other organization is just a new gatekeeper, right? It's the new secretary that you need to kind of get past. You need to make something, you need to give something to them that makes them look so good that they're going to run it up the chain there, and they're going to give it to their executives, and all of a sudden, you know, you might have the chance to be like, yeah, I saw this great thing on so-and-so's account, right? Thought leadership, awesome. And that's, like I said, the same as when you had to figure out how to get past the secretary up to the C-suite. And what I would like to, if anyone has thoughts on this final point, I'd love to have a discussion afterwards, because I think the single largest failure in social media for business to business is how this online lead goes to your CRM system, but everything you learned and did with them previous to that basically disappears once they go in your CRM. Online lead, and they go in, right? Like, if anyone has any ideas or cutting-edge software, like, there should be a button, there should be some piece of software I use that if I engage with someone in Twitter, that should just go in my CRM, right? Somehow that leap hasn't been made, but if anyone has found people that are doing it, I would love to hear it. Because even if you don't have that software, you know, it is extremely vital to still put into your CRM system that you are promoting these people, right? That way when you talk a new deal, you want to pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, they might not know, someone in policy might not know that this member is a top employer, right? But if you put in the CRM and you tweet it out about them being a top employer, it should be really easy for that policy person to come on and when they pick up the phone, not to lead in with exactly what they want, to open with their ask, but to open with a compliment, to open with an icebreaker, be like, hey, you know, fantastic work on winning that award, right? And so I think that's a huge component that's missing right now for social media and B2B is that it's not making its connection to CRM. And if you have to do it manually, then do it manually as a start. Hopefully someone will figure it out. So let's jump to some quick tactics. And hopefully, you know, some of this stuff I'm sure you're familiar with, but hopefully some of it's new. Twitter search.twitter.com, not the little stupid box at the top of the normal webpage. Advanced search is amazing, right? Pin down keywords, hashtags, geographic area, and see what people are talking about as it relates to you. Then just jump into that conversation. It's beautiful. There's no barrier to entry. It's never been easier. Like I said, trolls and testimonials, favorite those things. Have them easily accessible. You know, then give some thought around old style retweets and new style retweets. Right? How much do you want to own that message? If you're going to retweet somebody and you're going to do an old style one, hopefully everyone knows old style, where essentially you take their content and put it in your tweet and then you tweet it out. You're not really doing them much of a favor, are you? Right? Like everyone sees your image. So if you want that, if you just want to promote your image, then keep that in mind. That's what you're doing. But if you genuinely want to celebrate that person and put them out there, make sure it's a new style retweet and that person is getting the brand recognition they want with the thought leadership they're putting out as well. And also important to remember that just because you follow someone doesn't mean you have to read them or that you do, right? To me, there's something terribly unattractive to seeing someone that follows me and they follow 5,000 people, right? And just because you don't follow someone doesn't mean you don't have to read them, right? In Hootsuite, you can set up all your lists. You don't have to go follow 5,000 people to still want the aggregate knowledge of those 5,000 people, right? And keep your list uncluttered, the people you truly value and truly want to follow. And I think that another important distinction from B2C and B2B here is that in B2C, you tend to segment based on term, right? Something specific people are talking about. Whereas in B2B, you really can segment on the type of organization, the type of person, right? You don't have to have a specific word you're looking for. You should just know, again, and know I'm flogging the dead horse here, you should know what your competitors are doing and have them in the list to see what they're talking about. Then there's Tweet Adder, something like Tweet Adder or other automated bots, which is, it gets to be a little gray, potentially black hat type stuff, but I think there's huge potential in it if it's used properly, right? So it didn't dawn on me. I might have just been really slow compared to a lot of people, but it really annoyed me. It still annoys me when people are like, someone from Georgia follows me. It's like, what are you doing? But as an awareness tool, it's amazing. Are you a new company? Are you in Calgary? You think you have a service? Like, people don't just like, oh man, I wonder if anyone started up a new small company that fulfills this need. I'm gonna go look for them. They don't do that. So if you have an automated bot and you know who you want to do business with or you want to get attention from, is it that wrong to auto-follow them? No, it's like tapping the dude on the shoulder and be like, hey, just check this out. You have a moment. Just like take a look over here. It's totally non-committal. It shouldn't, really get them too riled up. And it's just a massive, awesome way to build awareness if you're just starting a new presence or have a new organization. So, hopefully that covers a lot. With that all said and done, just rinse and repeat over and over and get better and better, engage more and more. For time. Desmond, am I supposed to wrap it up? We've got a bunch of examples we can live through to make everyone kind of feel better about what they do. Right, so we get to the real world. Anyone remember the show? This is like so far from what the real world is. I kind of use that because I think a lot of the social media strategy and stuff we read is like watching a show like this and thinking like that's the world we live in, right? Like those of you that are dedicated community managers, it's awesome. I hope it's like a total party and you have a sexy brand and you have like unlimited original content to tweet out and stuff is awesome. That's not where most of us live. So let's talk about some epic fails. That was a bit of a debate we put in this room. We haven't had that many, thankfully. Although it is interesting to note, I didn't actually have the password to our Twitter account for the first 8 months I was at the Chamber. So we had, everything was managed via Hootsuite, via old API keys we had on people's iPads. So it wasn't until, of course, we sold the building, moved to a new building, and still had our profile picture as the old building, that things tended to get pretty urgent about needing the password for our Twitter account. And I'd hassled, I'd harassed Twitter in the past, and it tended to go nowhere, but we were pretty persistent on this one, and so it was only up for about a week. But you know, even currently, which should hopefully floor you, and will change in about a week. But when our site was built, and we got a mobile site built, great, we need a mobile redirect, right? Someone comes on their smartphone, they check out your website, you obviously want them to go to the beautiful, elegant mobile version of the page. Well, the redirect we received just always redirected back to the homepage, m.calgarychamber.com, right? So where are people reading most of their social media? On their mobile devices, right? So every time I tweet about an event, put out some great blog post, whatever it is, and someone reads it on their smartphone, they don't get to it. They get to m.calgarychamber.com. What a terrible, broken user experience, right? And hopefully we'll bring into focus that it's not, social media doesn't exist in this vacuum, right? It's about having your allies on your team, it's about having your website and tech infrastructure in place, so you don't get thrown under the bus when you're trying to do your job. Unfortunately, I'm kind of responsible for both of those, so that is totally on me. Trolls, I wanted to use a much better example. We do ABC series, Aboriginal Business Connections, moderately politicized, and we get a lot of people that like to completely rag on us, and all I really wanted to touch on was trolls. So this is a recent event we had with Eric Bodan, talking about kind of leadership, and I tweeted out, biggest skills that companies are looking for in new leaders: strong emotional intelligence and able to execute on strategy. Brian writes back, translation, while the boss makes money, the leader must keep the workers from killing each other or scaring the customers. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. So my two sage pieces of wisdom here is one, take a page out of the police handbook, just subdue them, not promote them. Right? Trolls are nasty creatures. If it's about your organization, right, it leads to the Lord's Prayer here: have the strength to fix what you can and the grace to accept what you cannot. Right? If this person just wants to whinge about something not related to you, let them whinge. If it's something you can fix, fix it. Otherwise, just move on. Recoveries. This was in our email marketing. We sent out a headline about Thomas Mulcair, the NDP leader, here to speak. A lot of people not a big fan of him in this part of the world. And the headline there should have been, tries to woo Calgary, and one wrong letter tries to woe Calgary. And so a lot of people thought that was kind of funny because they thought that's what he actually did. And got a nice little troll come back and tell us that if we wanted someone to edit or proofread our material, that she didn't charge too much, which was really nice, given that we put out a massive newsletter, 50 issues a year. That is a pretty monstrous effort, and I think we've had 2 typos in the last year. But we sent out another one right away, tried to have a little fun with it. Woo, what a woeful miss in our Mulcair headline. Please accept our apologies for the error in our previous version. Cover headline should have read, blah, blah, blah. The only woe is how we are feeling about it. And that was nice. Got some positive response with that too, of people owning up to it. Events, this could be a much longer section, but I know we're running low on time. So here I would just there are big accounts that don't get this. If you're starting a tweet with a handle, all your followers don't see it, right? Twitter treats it as a message to that person, right? The only people that see it are the people that follow you and that person, because they're like, hey, you guys must all be friends, why don't you see this conversation? But if you're going to tweet, especially live tweet an event, put a period before the handle, right? Like, there have been people that have said some pretty nasty things about the Chamber. Thankfully, they're not smart enough to realize that, to put a period in front of it. So none of their followers saw it, right? Calgary Chamber, you suck. Well, thanks for the personal message, but that didn't get out to him, right? And so it's amazing how many people don't know that. So please pay attention to that. We can skip all this stuff about hashtags. Obviously, schedule your sponsor thank yous so you never forget them and know all their handles. I guess we'll probably finish with brand LinkedIn group. Really slow on the uptake here. Again, like I said, I'm trying to show you that we're human. There was a guy that started an unofficial Calgary Chamber group years ago on LinkedIn. Has built it up to thousands of people. He's a recruiter in Toronto now, right? This is just like his personal way to be able to contact thousands. Because some of you may not know, the biggest benefit of being in a group on LinkedIn, don't need to send an email, right? If you're in the same group as a person, you can contact them directly. They do not have to be a connection. So hopefully everyone knew that, but that's a good thing. So he, has several thousand people in his group, saves a lot of emails. Was willing to make me administrator, but not give us ownership, even though he had been using the Chamber brand for years to build up his following, unofficial or not. And had to do a bit of a scorched earth policy. Now, I can't say it's worked out the best for us. We haven't been able to devote enough time to it to make that a success, but we felt it was important to let all the people in that group that thought they were talking to the Chamber membership or to Chamber staff or what have you, that they weren't. So one day we kind of just dropped the bomb and I posted to the entire group who this guy was, what he was doing. This was not a Chamber account. We created a Chamber account. And did all of them leave that group? No, absolutely not. But some people were really thankful to at least know. Right? We had new members that had just signed up that I saw tweet about how excited they were joining this like LinkedIn group, right? Just days before I did this. So he turned out to be a bit of a troll, this gentleman who had done all this. Was even so nice enough to come back a little while ago and poke the bear about showing what a great benefit this had been to our members. And it was never about benefit to our members, it was the fact that we've invested so much in our brand and reinventing our brand. You have to see what people are trying to do to be you on this space and hope that that's only positive. So at least reach out there, control it, and do what you can. All right, let's wrap this up with, you can't be everyone and everywhere. There's a lot of stuff that as a community manager you're expected to do. And at the end of the day, what I've hoped I've shown you is that you have to be there, you have to be credible to start with. When you get there, it can give you so many benefits. You don't have to do it by yourself. There's a ton of great ways of leveraging your team. And always keep your organization goals in mind, right? When every time you go to put something out, so it makes a lot of sense and continues to work towards what your goals are on that platform. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope we have time for questions, and I would love any feedback you have. Is that 2 questions? So no questions. Awesome. Did anyone find it moderately useful? Yeah. Okay, that is awesome. Jenna, what's going on?
Hey, good job. I just want to ask, as a community manager, and with the Chamber and large organization of teams, are you expected to be tweeting and responding 24/7? Like, what happens when you schedule something on the weekend, and then I find it going like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's probably open to debate with my manager over here. Let's frame it up this way. I feel like if you're going to be a community manager, you need to be a native in this space. And like I said with notifications, if you're, if I'm go snowboarding on Saturday and I have stuff scheduled for Saturday, no, I'm not going to engage. When I get a tweet and I'm on the chairlift, right? But honestly, if it's Saturday afternoon, I'm probably checking my Twitter feed, right? I'm checking my social media. That's on an organization by organization basis. I have no problem doing it. I'm not always going to do it. It's not an obligation, but I think it's necessary evil, right?
Yeah.
If your customers want to talk to you, why not? Log in is 15 minutes on your timesheet if you have to, right? At the end of the day, but the other thing I guess that I think is key there is making sure that your manager knows you're doing it, right? And hopefully, if you've educated your manager, like Jackie scares the hell out of me, right? Like I know she's crazy busy, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that thing you just tweeted." I was like, "When did you have time to look at that?" Like she somehow is always monitoring. So I know I don't have to make the case, but if you feel like you are putting in that time, yeah, I definitely urge you to say like, "Had this great conversation on Saturday with someone." The next time you're doing a little catch up with your boss.
Do you have any insight on order lists?
Yeah, I think they can be laborious. We're hoping to get an intern this summer, and I have a lot of exciting jobs for her, kind of generating some lists. For us, for example, though, my list, I have a list of a bunch of other prominent chambers in Canada, right? I think Hoot Deck can be overkill, Hootsuite rather, and I don't have a lot of time, but I want to, quickly get a sense of what's going on. And so you have your other chambers there. Off and on, as much as I can, I try every time we get a new member, I hear about a member, or I promote them and see that I'm not following them. I'll either try and follow them, or even if I don't, I have a private protected list of all our members. So that's the other thing. A lot of people broadcast list membership, like you've just been added to Community Manager's Calgary list, right? You can make your lists private. They can be totally your own business intelligence, right? That you've gone out and scraped, seeing who else is following your competitors or whatnot, just to keep top of mind, right? How many, I know people that manage multiple accounts and have a lot of time, may have just a ton of streams they're monitoring. I really only have about 3 or 4, right? Other chambers, what our members are saying, my general feed, people that have spelled to Calgary Chamber rather than use the handle, and then of course the Connect tab in Twitter, which whoever's been interacting with you. Cool. Thanks so much.
Great job. I got lots of insight and experience and different things to try out on my Twitter handle. Just while we bring up the presentation again, we're going to give a shout out to MRU Shift is coming up on May 9th. If you haven't signed up or heard about it, please go to mountroyal.ca/MRU Shift. Or you can talk to the guy in the red shirt over here. He's got all of the information on it. We've got great local Calgary speakers that will be talking about social media all day long. I went last year and it was a blast. It helped both for networking and for just growing my social media audience and doing it in the correct way. So check that out, mountroyal.ca/MRU Shift, or it's MRU Shift on Twitter, @MRU Shift. Also, Terry's here. I was just going to say a little bit about YYC Burger Week. Have any of you heard of YYC Burger Week? I have actually never heard of it, but I love burgers, and I think I'm going to check this out.
Midnight Burger Bash. 3 orders.
Hi, I'm Terry, or Terry_Calgary, and I'm a burgerholic. Now, YYC Burger Week was kind of an invention by 3 former Montrealers, myself, Sabs in the City, and her unknown ninja social media avoiding fiance. But basically this is that in about 2 other cities, Toronto and Montreal, last year they all had their own burger festivals. So a couple of months ago, basically a bunch of us got together and we said, well, if they can do it, why the hell can't we? We've got so many fantastic new restaurants open up, and we decided, well, why not? So we approached about quite a few restaurants, and as you can see here, the final list right now is 16 restaurants. Each one is going to be offering a $15 unique burger platter, and some of these burgers are insane. I mean, I'm talking like some of them are putting, 1 or 2 are putting foie gras, 1 or 2 is putting like massive amounts of bacon and imported breads and God knows what. Now, for that $15, $1 is going to go to one of those 8 charities. And we've paired about 2 restaurants per charity. And what's going to happen is that at the end of the week, we can gather up the money, and the restaurants will then present it to each charity. And on the website, people who have tried those burgers will actually get to make their comments and even vote for who's the best burger overall. If you look at, well, I know the list is pretty small, but our website, YYC Burger Week, you can see the list. We've put in some really awesome restaurants, like pretty much all of you have heard of the New Market by now. There's the New Mission Diner, there's a couple of popular pubs, like there's also the oh my God, I can't even remember my own place. Well, there's 1410, the new Roosevelt and so on. We've purposely tried to make it as some really good chefs and also a lot of popular hangouts, and to give some newbies, some surprise newbies, Nina's Kitchen, for example, a chance to have some exposure for themselves. So we're hoping basically that on May 3rd through 10th that you come along, enjoy a burger, make your vote, and it's all for a good cause. That's basically it.
Thank you, Terry. So, YYCBurgerWeek.com. So thank you all for joining. Our next SMByyc is May 24th, so mark that date in your calendar. If you aren't aware, we host it the second last Friday of every month, so you can mark that going forward. And if you don't get the emails, you can send an email to SMByyc@chaosconsulting.com. They'll be added to our Marketwire feed, that email that goes out the week before the event. So May 24th, 2013, and thank you all